Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are on the globe. And welcome back to another exciting session of the Domino v14 Deep Dive webinar series. This week is about auto update, and I can see there are hundreds of people piling up in the audience out there. So really, I'm excited that you all came back to listen to what's new in v14 and especially learning about auto update. So let me introduce myself. My name is Thomas Hampel. I'm the product manager within the Domino family. And today I'm not the only speaker. I have support, really strong support here from Gary Riom. Gary, can you just say hello to the audience?
Yep, good day, good evening. Glad you're all here. And Thomas, take it away.
Yeah, let me take care of the first part of the session and you'll then chime in. Before we start, let's talk a little bit about the logistics. Even though Gary and me are speaking for the most time, we are supported by a whole team that's handling any questions of yours. So as usual, we have Tim Clark from product management team. Behind the scenes, we have people from the development team. We also have a lifetime ambassador in this background chat here. And in order to follow along, in case of you having any questions, the GoToWebinar facility allows you to ask questions. We would like you to use the questions panel so that the different people in our panelist, amongst our panelists, can respond to your questions while we are presenting. We may bring some of the questions forward at the very end when we get to the Q&A, and we'll try to answer them accordingly. A common question is, will this session be recorded? And yes, it is. We will make the recording available shortly after, so you will be able to watch a replay. And with that, I guess I covered the logistics and we can move on to the usual disclaimer slide, because also today we are going to talk about the future, and as usual, the future can change, so please keep that in mind. Today is the auto update webinar. That's session number 4 in the series of webinars. Last week, Trevor presented on what's new in same time meetings and same time chat. That was an awesome webinar and was well perceived. And yeah, this time auto update, and next week more to come. I think Tim, you are going to handle this next week together with Annalyn. But let's focus on today's webinar. So it's about auto update, one of the new features we've introduced in Domino 14. What we promised you is a session packed with information from how to use it, how to set it up, as well as going through some scenarios of how you can use this feature in your environment. If you want to follow along, there is an online documentation. The link is down there, but I suggest watching the webinar and seeing what we are presenting so that you can take this as a starting point when you enable this feature in your environment. Well, first of all, let's clarify a few basics here. Why even update at all? I think we're all long enough in the IT industry to realize that everything is moving on quite fast, and the evolution of the software is continuously evolving with not only new features, but also fixes, bug fixes, and security fixes being released. Now, we are doing a lot at HCL to make sure the product is the best that we can provide. It's the best of secure from a security point of view, and also providing new features based on your request. However, software that we are releasing, you have to enable in your environment. It's your responsibility to deploy and operate the software in your environment. Now, that's not new. I mean, that's been the case since ages. And traditionally in the Domino world, well, you had to at least know about any new software updates being available. And traditionally, the way to get to know about any Domino update or fix pack being available is, for instance, by signing up to an HCL newsletter or follow HCL on social media, or maybe even checking our FlexNet download site once per day, as Aleš Lichtenberg seems to do every day. At least he's quite active on social media, posting when updates are available. But I think we all have better things to do than checking a software download site every day. However, even if you are aware about a software update being available, you still have to manually download that software package, and then you need to distribute software updates in your environment. Well, certainly you can do that manually, or you could use products like HCL BigFix that handle the software distribution in a distributed environment quite well. However, there is something new in version 14. This is what this webinar is about. It's about auto update, a feature in Domino that will greatly simplify the deployment of software packages, software updates in the Domino world. When we designed this feature, we set some design goals, and those were first and foremost to make our customers aware of new software packages being available. So we wanted to have our customers being aware when a fix pack is released so that they can stay current. And also we want our customers to know what is new in these software packages, fix packs, and the like. And not only is this information that we wanted to spread, we also want to make sure the update process is as seamless as it could ever be. Well, if you're long enough with the Domino product, you know that upgrading a Domino server is really simple, but think about customers with dozens or even hundreds of Domino servers where distributing software packages and scheduling these updates could be quite a bit of a burden. So we also wanted to make sure that you don't have to spend a lot of time in fiddling with the details on what is a release and how to handle fix packs and what's an interim fix. So that all should be as simplified as possible. The result of this is called Auto Update, like I said, a feature in v14. And what we are presenting in this webinar is the first deliverable in an enhancement of the product. We are planning to do more, and I'm going to show on what's about to come at the end of this webinar. But the exercise of enabling it, of activating the feature, is based on what you currently have in Domino version 14. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how to enable this feature. Starting point is requirements. So what do you need? To no surprise, well, you need a Domino version 14 server. That is a server that must have a connection to the internet, an outbound connection. Well, it is TCP on port 443. Of course, it is also possible to support a proxy connection. So if your Domino environment is not able to connect directly to the web, an outbound proxy can be used as well. You need to have the Domino directory being on the version 14 template, because there are some new controls that that store the configuration. So you'll need to leverage those. And obviously, you'll need some disk space, especially when using the download option that will download software packages to your environment. So you need to plan for sufficient disk space to be available. All right, so let me sketch a little bit of a roadmap here on the following slides, what we are going to show. The first stage is set up the auto notify feature, which is enabling you to receive information on which new versions are available. Then we are going to explain how to get a so-called download token and how to apply that into your configuration. We're going to show how to download software kits and how to deploy them in your environment. And we conclude with the auto install part. All right, Gary, I think we said that I'm going to cover the first part, auto notify, and you'll then handle the second stage.
Correct.
Yeah, all right. As you can see, this is all well planned and perfectly live. So auto notify, what you're going to get with this is information about which products and product versions are available at this point in time. This information is going to be stored visibly in the Domino directory. As you can see here on the left side screenshot, it's the product info page. And you can see the descriptions and latest versions and languages available for those products. I need to say that Auto Notify is a feature that's configured domain-wide. It's configured in the Domino directory profile document, and it is disabled by default. So if you want to use this feature, you need to activate it on your side. Technically, the feature is, like I said, a setting in the directory profile, and it is supported by a server task called auto update. That's the backend task that will download this information from an HCL backend. I need to say that this information is public information, so anyone can fetch that information. There is no need to authenticate, so it's publicly available. Let's dive into this a little bit more. So auto notify, like I said, is a setting in the Domino directory profile. There is a new tab called product updates. And when you change this status from disabled, which is the default, to notify only, that will activate the feature. And by the way, since in your environment, you only need one server to perform the work, you define the so-called download server down here in the third field, which is the server that will make the outbound connection. I was reminded that currently, when enabling this for the first time, you need to do a restart of the auto update task once only. It's just necessary to create the database in the background. So restart task auto update is required once. The server task auto update is a task that runs by default. It runs on all servers. So as a reminder, you do not need to add this server task to your server tasks ini. You do not need to create a program document or anything like that. The task itself is responsible for performing background jobs such as retrieving the software information, validating signatures, so to ensure the built-in security is honored, and then publishing this information into the names.nsf. As a result of that, well, this information is going to be publicly available within your environment. So administrators and also any user can see what versions of Domino and nodes and the like are available. As I said, it's stored in the names.nsf and also stored in a new database called autoupdate.nsf that we are going to handle in a minute. We've created a little chart down there to outline the flow of information. On the right-hand side is your names.nsf, your primary Domino directory, and the auto update task is responsible for pulling from HCL software, pulling information from HCL software into your names.nsf. Technically, we are pulling a file called products.jwt that's just containing the list of products and version numbers and some information about what's new and some links and references to public websites. Well, that's all good. So now you know what versions are available. And yeah, sure, you could go ahead and download these software packages manually by opening up our software download site, which used to be FlexNet. But there's good news. We have launched a new MyHCL software download portal. I think Tim and me, we were presenting about this a few times already. And the new portal received quite a bit of applause from our customer community because it's a well-organized software portal that allows to find the software that you are entitled to use easily. It's modern, it looks great, and the best of all, it's fast. So this new software download portal is available at my.hcltechsoftware.com, and you can open up that page either by typing in the URL or by scanning the QR code displayed to the left, to the lower left here. I'm showing this QR code because behind the scenes, Domino Auto Update leverages this My HCL software download portal to pull software packages. So this will be quite interesting for you. Let me just show you on what it will look like when you are using it yourself. First of all, you have to log in. And by the way, the login credentials are the same than the one that you're using on, for instance, FlexNet or any other HCL site. And in there, you can navigate to the software packages that are available to you. Here in this case, this is all the Domino server software packages, and I can find a link for a direct download. Yeah, and certainly I could go ahead and download from that site and then distribute that software among my environment, but I think that's not what this session is about, right? We want to do it in a better way. So let's use Domino Auto Update for that. In order to do that, we first need to tell our Domino environment what credentials to use to connect to my HCL software portal. To do that, you log into the software portal as I just did. And in the top right-hand corner, you have a drop-down menu that leads to something called API keys. If you open that, you can create a new API key. You will be prompted to provide a label. The label is just a name that you can remember, has no special meaning other than being unique for your environment. Once you do that, you get an API key displayed and you copy that to your clipboard. So once that is done, once you have the API key in your clipboard, we need to apply that into our Domino environment. And this is where we are coming to the new database called Domino Auto Update or autoupdate.nsf. We are going to explain this database in a few minutes, but in here, as simple as that, you open the configuration and you apply the download token by clicking that button. As you see, it's imported, and you are saving the download token. That's actually everything you need to do. But because this is a new database that you may have not seen before, I think it's worth going into the bits and pieces of what this application can do for you. And that's where I think I want to have Gary's support on that, because you did quite a bit of work on that subject. So can you tell the audience, or explain to the audience, what they can get with autoupdate.nsf?
Sure. And we can go to the next slide, please.
Oh, I can.
So the auto update database is the working database that we use to enable you to see within the Domino environment all of the software that's available or that we choose to make available from the portal. So when Thomas went to the portal and he was looking at all the many different packages that you could download, we choose a subset of those and we make them available via the software.json or JWT file. They are going to appear in this database. And then we're going to have information about the servers that are in your environment. And then we're going to have the ability to manage software downloads and the distribution of software for deployment to servers. So Thomas already showed you the global configuration page where you set that token. That's more or less a one-time thing. It is important to note that there is only one server in your domain that's designated to do downloads, and that token is restricted to that one server. So you don't want to have multiple servers because we have to do refresh tokens every time we access the portal on your behalf. And if you had multiple servers trying to use the same token, they would sort of step on each other. So again, the single point of download for your domain. I think we'll connect.
Now switching pages. Now switching pages.
Thank you.
Too fast.
Great. So after you've enabled the feature, which we did in the domain profile up in the nav, As Thomas said, the auto update task will automatically run now on all of your Domino 14 servers. We will automatically create the auto update database itself, and we will reach out to the HCL portal and we will grab the catalog of available downloads. And so you will just see now this information, which is a summary of the information that you saw up in the actual MyHCL portal. We sort of consolidate it and we we categorize it in a Domino database. So Thomas, I think we can go on. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as Thomas mentioned, after you first do the enablement of the feature, you do need to restart the task. That's the thing that tells the task to go and look now to see if it needs to build the database and to go do an initial population of the software catalog, right? And again, just as Thomas mentioned, no need to add that to server tasks. Please don't do that. And we sort of classify the servers now in your environment as with two different terms that we use in our documentation and in our presentations. The download server is the one server that you told us to use when you configured the feature that will be responsible for reaching out, doing all the downloads, acquiring the catalog, and managing any work that you want to do inside your environment. It's where you will host the auto update NSF. Every other server in your environment, and including the download server itself, we refer to as target server. And those are people who can be acted upon. So you can send a kit to a target server for install. So we create, this is fine. We create a set of software documents for all of the available software and to where you can see which things you have downloaded. And we also get information about all of the servers in your environment. And there's one server information document for every server that shows you what the current platform is, what the current version is that's running on that particular server, right? And we put all this information into auto update. We have a central copy of the auto update.nsf, a single central copy, and all of the satellite servers or the target servers will interact with that master copy. Now you could create replicas if you want to do so, and we will take advantage of like cluster replica failover and things of that nature if your primary server happens to be down, but by default and by design, we have a single centralized database. This is an example of one of the server information documents, and this is an example of one of the software documents. Again, we saw the view where we saw all of the different software that you can download, but for each one of those things that you saw in the view, you can open the document and you can see the specific information that we downloaded from HCL and the software JSON. You know, the file size, the name of the file, the name of the kit, what platforms it applies to, checksum, you know, all things that we're going to use to guarantee the integrity of the files that we download, right? There's a couple other things on here. The file ID is a unique ID that's generated by the MyHCL portal folks. So that's the sort of the key that we use when we download it on your behalf. And the only other thing I think that's interesting here really is this capabilities field. From the HCL side, when we define the software.jwt, we can specify if particular types of software are download only. They can be downloaded and distributed. They can be downloaded and eventually things like install and other actions. So we can determine, or we do determine from the HCL side what you can do with these various packages, or what this particular tool will enable you to do with the packages. I think we can go. I think also
from an admin point of view, it's worth mentioning that the auto update database is already DAOS enabled. So any administrators, I know that software packages can be quite large and they are technically attachments in this database, but since it's DAOS enabled, we're already leverage our optimization features in Domino to cause the least impact for when handling such large packages.
Right, so the NSF itself won't grow inordinately large. If you can go right back up for one moment, Thomas, I will comment on the other thing that is on the slide. So it is important to note that we are interacting with the portal through HTTPS, and again, only the download server is doing that. Within the Domino environment, everything else is just done through NRPC. So whenever we communicate with other target servers, the target servers communicate with us. That's all standard NRPC protocol. Okay.
All right.
So when you decide, you want to download something, I thought we were going to show downloads first, but I guess we'll talk
Yeah,
about
that's deployment groups, deployment groups.
Okay, that's fine. So when you go to, after you've downloaded software, which we'll have a animated video of in a few seconds here, then you have to decide that you want to push it to various servers, right? So there's kind of like an easy method, which is very intuitive, where you go to the list of all of the servers that are in your domain. Now we have 3 here, you might have dozens. And you select them, you put the check mark next to them, and then you say, I want to schedule a deployment onto those. And we will then give you a dialog box where you tell us what kit you want to push. We will automatically do dependency checking if you're, bringing a fix pack or an interfix or whatever, and it has prerequisites for installs. We're going to do all that calculation, and we will make sure that you have downloaded all of the prerequisites, and then we will do the push. So this is like sort of you pick it, you push it, pretty straightforward UI, but there's also, Thomas, if you go to the next slide.
Mhm.
For larger deployments or more sophisticated deployments, you can also define what we call deployment groups. And these are really, you just go in, you give the group a name, and you assign servers to that group. And then you can perform an action for the entire group. So if you want to push 1401 fixpack 1 to all your mail servers, and you've created a group called mail servers, you can do that in one action by deploying the group, right? So it's just a convenient way of doing bulk operations by logical group names within your domain. And as noted here, each server can only belong to one group, right? So we don't allow you to have multiple group actions trying to affect the same servers at the same time. Okay. So another thing that's in the database, when you saw earlier the software list, and again, we're going to have a demo of this, you saw every platform, right? OS 400, the AIX, Linux, and Windows, and such like that. And your shop might only use Windows. So a lot of that other information that was in the software catalog might be chatter for you. So we have a very simple filtering mechanism where you can go in and you can tell us what products you are interested in. Hey, I only want to see Notes and Domino. I don't use Traveler, right? I only want to see Windows. I only want to see certain languages, and that these types of filters. And then when you go back to your software view, the software view will be filtered to show you only the kinds of downloadable packages that you are interested in. So Thomas here on the left, he has sort of the raw view without filters, where you can see it's a little bit small, but you can see we have different versions. We have OS 400, Windows AIX, different platforms. And then after we apply the filter on the right, we only see the packages that we're interested in, which I think is pretty standard type of filtering. So this is sort of a recap, I think. I'm not sure exactly an overview, but I'll just go through it really quickly one last time. So the products, what are the latest products that are available? That information is contained in the products.json or JWT. We use Java Web Tokens with signatures so we can verify the information, but you can also yourself directly access it as a JSON file. That's the thing that gets brought down by the auto update task. And that's the thing that gets pushed to the names NSF and also to the auto update NSF that indicates what are the latest versions of available software. The next sort of layer is talking about the software catalog. And again, the auto update task downloads that, and that is the master list of everything that we support downloading, distributing, manipulating, and again, various capabilities for different types of products. But that's where that information comes from. The auto update task will take that. It will create the software view or the software catalog view in the auto update. And then lastly, when you select that you want to have certain things downloaded, we will use the token, the API token that you've given us, we will reach out to the My HCL portal, software portal, and we will download those kits automatically in the background. And I think, Thomas, if you go to the next slide, you may have a animation. So I'll turn it back to you, Thomas.
Thank you. Thanks for all those technical details. I think it's easiest if I'm showing how to use that live. So with auto update being configured with my token and with making sure that I have an internet connection from my server, I, as an admin, can decide which software kit I want to pull down to my environment. I've created a little demo for you, which is rather short. We are starting from within the auto update database. You can see I selected the software catalog on the left as a view, and I can see the list of software that's available for download. So what I do, I am going to click the Mark for Download button, and it will get this little yellow icon. Now, the download is actually performed by the server, so we're switching quickly to the server console, and we could just wait until the download takes place, but to speed things up, we're entering a command tell auto update process all. And depending on your internet connectivity, the speed and the like, it may take a few seconds or a few minutes until the package is downloaded. However, once done, the icon turns green. And as you can see, the software document in auto update now contains an attachment, which is actually the software installer. Isn't that simple, easy to use? Great. I mean, click on a button and no worries, you'll get the software you'll need. But from here, you still just have the executable. So what's next? How do you actually distribute that in your environment? So that would be stage 4 on our agenda. How to define to which destination servers or which target servers you want to push this software. Gary mentioned a few moments ago that there is a quick and easy way, which is just to select the servers that you want to push this software to and click a button, or you can create so-called deployment groups. In both cases, there is a button called Schedule Deployment, and you decide the action you want to take, the version you wanted to push, and platform and so forth, and hit the Submit button. Behind the scenes, the auto update task will handle the rest, including any dependency resolution, fixpack, interim fixes, and hotfix dependencies, and so forth. So that's all complexity that you no longer have to take care of yourself. What is being done behind the scenes is the auto update task will take the software package that is available in the software catalog and will put it onto the destination server into the deploy folder. That deploy folder is configured in the software info document that Gary was showing before. The default is underneath the nodes data directory. There is a new deploy folder, which is where the package will be pushed into. So that will allow you to quickly distribute these software packages in an environment at scale. And just for proof, I mean, here in this environment, that was a demo we did on Windows. The screenshot to the lower right-hand side shows the actual package has been put down to the server. So technically, you could continue from here the traditional way by saying, I'm going to open up a remote console to the server and I can install the software at my convenience. You're already saving all the time for downloading the software package, downloading any dependencies, putting it on the server, and so forth. It's all done for you. That's what you get in version 14. We've used a tell command, and as a supporting material, I've created an overview slide here showing what other tell commands are available to you. Maybe, Gary, you can chime in and explain some of them more details. We just used tell auto update process all, which just does everything. But there are other options. In what situations can people use them?
Right. Well, we don't really, people don't need to use these at all. The low process low processes sort of hourly types of things, like seeing if there are catalog refreshes and things of that nature. The high priority ones are more frequent. You showed earlier what the default time is, but that's basically, do we have work to do? Have we been asked to do a download? Have we been asked to do a deploy and things like that? So there's really, those are the two major loops. So again, I think these are important for reference, but you really don't have to do anything if you're willing to go get a coffee, come back. What you've asked to be done should be done.
Yeah, but this is a deep dive session, so we wanted to equip you with the information you may need in the future. There also are a few nodes inis that do exist for auto update, but the same way, I think people do not need to modify them in any way. These just define the defaults for the intervals at which the auto update task is checking their work queues. So less important jobs are done every 60 minutes, and the high priority tasks, such as the download software request or the distribution request to distribute software to target servers, that's executing every 5 minutes. So you don't have to wait for long. Yeah, these do exist, they are documented, but I'm just putting them in one place. Now, I said in the beginning that auto update is shipping as a feature in v14, and we're planning to enhance this further. We've already shared some of the ideas for what we could do, what we could advance this onto, and that's certainly stage 5, the auto install part. For this, we've prepared 2 demos, and I have to say these are currently technology previews. So they are not in the 14.0 version, but we are thinking of making them available soon. Let me say it that way. These are still subject to change. So what we are going to show may change in the final deliverable. But I'm going to show you a demo on what you could do with auto update by not just distributing the file, but also scheduling the actual update of the server to take place live. We are starting from the same place. We are starting in the auto update database. And as a little bit of a warning, in this demo, you are going to see Domino server versions that do not exist in the wild. This recording was done in our development environment where we run a daily build process. So please ignore the version numbers you are going to see and just imagine that, for instance, you are going to apply a new fix pack to a Domino server. All right, so let's get started. In this environment, we only have one server. It happens to run on that version of the product. So in the software catalog, we can see there is a newer version of the product available. Okay, so I'm taking the easy route here. I'm going to say schedule a deployment, and I'll pick the destination version that I want to roll out onto this server. Clicking on schedule update will initiate the job. And for the sake of time, we've scheduled the job to take place just now. So with that, let's switch to the server. I think this demo takes a bit longer than the other one because we have to wait for the software download to happen. Oh yeah, here you can see that the server will find out it does not have the requested software package locally. So it will first download the software, which takes as long as it takes. Yeah. So in this case, it was just a few seconds. And then it initiates a server update process, which means the server will be brought down, will shut down cleanly. Server will update itself. And as you know, depending on the size of your server, shutting down a server cleanly may take a few seconds. So I have not sped up this video here, so it may take a few seconds. Come on. There it is, server shutdown complete. Behind the scenes, it's running an auto update. It's performing all the tasks necessary, and it will start Domino again. Voila. there it's booting up, and as a proof, we are going to do a show server, and in here you'll find the new version of Domino being deployed. There it is, the new build that we just selected before. And let's switch back to the client. So on the client side, if we would refresh the view, we would also see the job has been completed. You see the installation status being successful, and any logs are attached down there at the down at the bottom of this document so that you can review them in case you need them. So server updates are going to be easier than ever before. But I'm sure Tim is monitoring questions here, and I'm sure some people already asked, hey, wait a second, what about the Nodes clients? Can we do something about Nodes client updates? Well, good news, the team has already thought of that. And I'm sure as a long-term Domino customer, you know that Nodes client updates can be managed through a feature called AUT, the Nodes Auto Update feature. This feature exists in the product, I think, at least since version 10. So you can already use that. Technically, that is another database on your server in which you have to attach the Nodes client installation kits. But in the past, you had to download these software kits yourself, and you had to attach them and had to, also import another XML file. So that was a bit complicated. So we thought, in the process of making auto updates even more simple, why not connecting the dots? So the Domino v14 auto update task will be able to handle this feature. So in the following demo, what we are going to do is to update the configuration and enable the deployment of Nodes client packages into the AUT catalog database. This is just the data source for Nodes client deployments. It will not perform the Nodes client deployment immediately, because we know that rolling out Nodes clients to various distributed machines out there may require more communication or more handling of various sites that you have. But it enables your desktop administrators, your desktop specialists to start the deployment once the software packages are in the AUT catalog. So let's take a look into that. Again, this is technology preview. We are starting in the auto update NSF database, and we are selecting a Domino fix pack. In this case, let's say 1202 fix pack 2. First of all, we have to change the global configuration to set the to enable pushing this package into the AUT catalog. The server will download the Nodes client package in the same way, but because we have enabled the AUT integration, it will also push that Nodes client fix pack into the AUT catalog. And you can open up the AUT catalog entry directly from here. So you can see all the necessary settings are already in place. All the switches are already in place. And if you are interested, you can even open up the entire AUT catalog database from here. So you see that's, in this case, in our demo environment, the one fix pack that we pushed over. So this is now ready for being deployed in the field. The actual deployment by using Nodes auto update is documented in our help, and that's not part of the demo because this is a feature that already exists in your environment. So with that, I hope that we have brought some valuable information to you, and I'm sure that there are questions out there. So may I just open up the audience, or the panel for any Q&A. Tim, I hope you're listening. I hope you're still on. Have there been any questions?
Yeah, there's been some great questions, actually. Lots of questions about the download portal. Lots of people saying it's brilliant. Somebody saying that they can't find the nice tool. But if you go to the Domino section and Domino tools right at the very bottom, you'll see it inside that there. So you should be able to find the nice uninstall tool if you need it. One other question was can I log in with my FlexNet credentials? I think you covered that already. So you should be able to log in to the new portal with your FlexNet credentials. If you have any issues with that and you don't see any software listed, we recommend that you log a support ticket and they will be able to help you out with getting your credentials crossed over into the new portal. And then there was one really good question that I think deserved an answer. So a couple of people have asked, do you consider auto updates for Docker and Podman images?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think, even though I could answer it myself, we wanted to give other panelists a chance to speak up. Do we have our lifetime ambassador, Daniel Nashett, on the call? Can you chime in, please, on auto update and containers?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, this time I unmuted in time because I saw this question coming. Container images are a completely different deployment model. Container images are built once and you just shut down your server, restart the server with the new image, and you get all your software updated. Take a look at the community image that HCL offers. It gives you all the different add-on tools directly at your fingertips to put into the container. And we added functionality to get the software directly from the new HCL FlexNet portal using the new API that they offered for the community project we use. So it's a different deployment model. You just deploy the new container and you don't install software. You apply a new image to it and the container knows what to do with the templates and everything. It will all just work for you.
But that's the nature of a container. A container is not meant to be updated from the inside. You actually always upgrade from the outside by throwing away the container and taking a new one. That's why auto update will not work and is not intended to work in this environment. I hope that answers the question, Tim.
Yeah, brilliant.
So we have a good question here. Sorry for dropping in, Tim, because we had the same question. So email notifications when there are new downloads. I'm not sure if we really want this because we have like the catalog with all the information. I think this would be an excellent feedback once we are in early, when we have an early adopter program, right? So then we can get those kind of detailed feedback. For now, I don't think that we're going to offer that because it's already included.
This is a good segue to the.
Right?
This is a good segue into a slide that I had in the beginning, saying the future may change. So if customers want a feature like this, there's always the possibility to create an idea in AHA and vote for it. And certainly, if that makes sense, and if you want to have it, we'll need to consider it.
Okay,
right.
So
we did talk about it, but it's not in it this time. Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, so there was a couple of questions about what will happen about hanging tasks or install problems. And I know that we've kind of answered it in the questions and answer portal, but I want to make sure that we answer that publicly.
Gary, you want to cover that one?
No, I would defer to Dick.
Yep.
Or Daniel, one of you guys.
So we are aware of situations like this, and you can expect that we handle this cleanly. Domino itself has some auto healing features like taking NSDs on shutdown when we have a shutdown hang, but we will look very closely into different situations of hangs and will probably even simulate hangs in our testing to cover all this functionality properly. This is one of the biggest challenge in auto installations, that you cover with unexpected situations, and you can be sure that we are taking this very serious and look into it in very detail.
And I think Dick also wanted to say something. Well, I thought I heard his voice. Okay,
so the other one that I really liked and I thought was worth a good answer was, is there going to be any cleanup available in auto update? So you're downloading a bunch of software to the servers and putting it in the file systems? Are we going to offer any cleanup of that once that's been deployed?
Harry, maybe?
Yeah, no, I think we will offer cleanups, whether we do that automatically or whether we make that an option of the deployment. Duly noted, and we will make sure that that's documented. If you have ideas, funnel them through Thomas, and about particular implementations you'd like to see. But in the catalog itself, if you've explicitly downloaded software, we don't clean that up. If there are software documents that become obsolete, like a certain version is no longer offered and it drops from the catalog, then you will no longer have the option in the catalog to download that package. But if you have in the past manually downloaded it, we won't automatically delete it out of the catalog. So I think the question is really about in the deployment cycle, once the deployment install cycle, after it's successfully installed, do you want it cleaned up? Yeah, again, yes. Should it be an option or should it automatically happen? We'll kind of figure that out.
Well, clearly, the environment that you are managing with this is your environment, and we do not intend to delete software that you have downloaded. If you want to have a button or want to do that, yeah, feel free, but we are not reaching into your software repository.
Okay, a couple more questions. I realize we've got a few minutes left. Can it handle custom properties like different users groups to be used on Linux of the install or upgrade?
Yeah, I can handle that one. I just answered that. So the auto update is not a first server install feature, it's an update feature, and we are running the operations from the auto update database and the server task. And the auto update server task knows all the details about your server, and it will pass this information to the auto install component. So you don't need to specify anything, and it will just automatically find out the right permissions, the right users, the right groups, where your data directory is, where your binary directory is. This is the best way to find that information because the running server itself knows its environment.
Oh, wonderful. So even in a completely diverse environment, this will work. Even if servers run in completely different user account with completely different program and data directories, it will just work.
Yes. But what we're not going to support is partition servers because that's a different animal, not used that much anymore in enterprise environments. So you see already that we are detecting partition servers and we are detecting servers running in containers. And for the containers, sorry for this plug, Thomas, we got a follow-up question by one of our technical advisors through internal chat. If someone wonders how you get the container images to your Domino server, so if you're running in a Kubernetes environment or a Docker environment, you can set up a registry and you can pull down the created images from a registry and you have your distribution in your local registry. This is like cloud native operations where you can
Is that
get
documented in the community, Daniel?
this is the standard technology. This is not like something that is Domino specific.
But I think that sounds like we should be doing a webinar or some online training for the container world.
Sure.
That on its own, I think, can easily cover an hour or more of material. So let's take that note as a follow-up webinar we may want to do in the future.
Okay, just a quick one. I've got two more questions left and then we probably at this rate need to can it.
Yeah.
But we've got one question that keeps coming up, which is all about language templates and language packs. How are we handling those?
Yeah, we are looking at it. So you can expect that we already looked at a single language pack. That's a no-brainer, right? We have to support that. But multiple language packs, as Friedhelm Klein already answered himself after putting the question, is never really had a good model for our server. So there was another question why we can't just have a zip file with all the local language templates. And Thomas, maybe you want to say something about that because
Yeah.
There might be some other product management ideas around it.
Yeah, but for this webcast, it may go way too far. Of course, we are well aware of certain geographies, countries, and personal preferences that multiple other languages do exist, and really people want to work in their local language. So there needs to be more flexibility in choosing a language. And that also means for an admin, it must be easier to decide what languages are being made available. That is, again, a different topic on the options that we are considering. It's not a topic that I think we can or want to cover in an auto update webinar. So bear with me if I'm not going to reveal all the details, but hey, there are conferences coming up where we may say more about things like that. So that may be a teaser for the upcoming Engage conference, for instance.
Or DNUG, or anything else.
And reinforce again
Yeah.
that AHA is a vehicle for, getting these ideas out there and getting them voted on, and we do monitor that every week. So, or I look at it once a week. I think you guys look at it continuously. So.
Yeah, we look at it every day. I promise you. Okay, so this hasn't been answered. So can we say a few words about rollbacks?
Right, Thomas.
Yeah, well, in general, where to start? The tooling, the auto update database, does not contain any button to automatically roll back. But in case of any problem occurring, the situation that you would be in is exactly the same as if a problem would occur in a manual installation. And the same actions would apply. You would reach out to the server, you would, for instance, uninstall the product, and you would reinstall the previous version and take any appropriate actions. So the situation is not any different than it used to be before. That's going to help.
Thomas, I want to add something to this, something that we didn't cover in the seminar because it would go way too far. But
you have
just
30 seconds, Daniel.
So we have like a deployment order and we have deployment groups, and you can have pilot deployment groups and they will be executed first, and you can define in very detail how your rollout looks like with pilot groups, and it would stop immediately when the previous group had issues. So we thought about all of this. So if one server fails, we will stop the whole deployment of the next deployment order, right? The same deployment order runs in parallel, and follow-up ones will run afterwards. So we have this already on our radar, and we have implemented this already, but this would go too far for a seminar like this, right? So stay tuned for the first early access code drops to look into that.
So I see it's the top of the hour. So Tim, I'm sure there are more questions, but you already said we need to cut it short.
Yeah, we will get to all the questions. So if you've asked a question, we will get to it after the fact, and we'll send you an email because we get a report out the back of the webinar that tells us who turned up and all the questions you asked and all the answers we gave. And if we've not answered any, we can come back to you via email directly and send you a quick message to let you know what the answer to your question was. So I'm going to hand it back to you, Thomas, to close this out.
Yeah, and let me close this out with a reminder to an upcoming webinar, actually one webinar taking place tomorrow, which is with our friends from OnTime. So Andrew Manby, Jens, and Lars from OnTime will be talking about the new OnTime freemium calendar with that is integrated with Domino. So sign up for that one. It's taking place tomorrow at about the same time. And to continue the Domino Deep Dive series, there also is a webinar upcoming next week, which Tim and Annalyn are going to be hosting. That's about the client side. So Nodes vs Nomad on 7th of February. Please join here using the same link to learn all the details and all the goodies on what's new on the client side. With that, thanks to all the audience. A special thanks to the panelists, to Tim for handling the questions, Daniel for stepping in as an ambassador, and of course, thanks to the development team for having done this awesome feature. And until next week, I'm going to leave you with this wonderful picture with our diver saying, "I love Domino and Domino forever." So thank you all.